Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of almost all ages, with parental consent, the sick twisted minds at Sacrificial Pawn Productions brings you a new style gore film, like nothing you have seen before. There are no cops, no investigations. There is no backstory, no follow-up of the victims who are brutally tortured and murdered. Our story isn't about them. Normal Terror is about a single dad struggling to make ends meet. His son is his first priority. He goes to work, pays his bills, and is generally a great dad. The twist comes after he puts his son to bed. This is where he releases his stress. Some people do yoga, some hit the gym, some go for runs, some people paint on a canvas. An anonymous source once wrote on an abandoned asylum wall, "I never understood people until I took one apart just to see how it worked." If you are rear-ended in traffic, most people's thought runs to anger and their primal instincts of hurting the other party. Sam Neill does not have the ability to stop that primal instinct. Let us take you into the mind of a killer. Normal Terror is a concept from the mind of Sam Mason, who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in this new age feature film.
So I'm here with my guy Sam Mason of Sacrificial Pawn Productions. He's making this movie Normal Terror, which I think is going to be amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy. And Sam, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and we can get right into it, man.
What's going on, everybody? This is Sam Mason of Sacrificial Pawn Productions, in production of the new age horror film, psychological gore film, Normal Terror. And I'm excited to be here on our first interview with Aaron Sturdivant, Mr. Sturdy.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I really, really do, and giving me the opportunity to be your first interview. And I'm going to ask my first question. I always ask every single guest this when they come on here is, what got you into horror? What or who got you into horror movie? You know, horror in general. And what's the first movie that scared you, if you remember?
You know, honestly, bro, it was probably my uncle that got me into horror. My uncle Charles. He was one of those guys that liked to screw around and dick around with everybody. It's like he used to scare the hell out of my mom with Jaws. They saw it like when it opened, and it just scared the hell out of them. So for my first horror movie, the one that scared the hell out of me was Children of the Corn. The original. And it was, I don't know what it was about that movie, and I think it came out in like 83, 84, something like that. And it just, I was born in 77. So at that time I was like 7, 8 years old, and it absolutely scared the hell out of me.
That is actually a classic. Both those movies you just named are classics. And it's funny because I just recently did a podcast on Jaws with my friend, actually yesterday. And
you know what? I saw that link that you did.
The funny thing about it is there was a part in the podcast where we were talking about it'd be cool to have a time machine to go back and see, like, when this movie came out, to see how people reacted to it. I love how you said your mother was terrified of the movie. That's just, that's awesome. It's awesome how it just came up like that.
Right? No, it's phenomenal that stuff happens like that. We were talking for a couple of minutes before we started the recording, and we were talking about how things come full circle. So it is really funny how those kinds of things work out.
Oh yeah! Oh my goodness! It's like it was meant to happen. And I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm actually gonna use a question that my brother posted. My brother Henry.
Okay.
Because it'll be a good question to open this up. So what brought you to the story, and who was your inspiration for the Normal Terror?
Okay, that's going to take me a little bit to answer that one. But, honestly, it's something that I had talked to with a buddy of mine, years and years and years ago. It was a high school friend of mine. We recently lost contact over the last, 10, 15 years, but, his name is Aaron as well, actually, Aaron Anderson. And him and I used to, get high and do all kinds of shit, and, kid stuff. And, one day we were talking about all these different things, that could be possible to do to people. We were both in construction, drank a lot, smoked a lot of weed, and stuff like that. And as it turned out, I just kind of held on to some of those ideas, because everybody has a primal instinct. Every one of us, say you're in traffic, you're already running late and you're frustrated as hell and someone rear ends you. What's your first thought?
Something crazy.
Most people's Right. Most people's first thought is anger and frustration and that primal evil within us.
That actually does make a lot of sense. I mean, we just don't go through with it. Like, your first thing is like, what the fuck, this stupid ass motherfucker, I want to just go there and slit his throat. And you're like, you know what, that's probably not a good idea to go do that. Let me calm down.
Right. So that was kind of my inspiration for the film, was talking about that primal instinct that we all carry. And so really, I did some acting back in 2006. I did 6 films that year. 2 of them went to Sundance. One of them was the 4-1 Liberation Front, written, directed by Bill Rice, who did Leprechaun 2. Yeah, and I fell in love with the process. That was my first co-starring role. I played the character of Johnny in this film, and you're more than welcome to go look it up. I actually haven't been able to find it online anywhere, so I'm struggling to get a hold of it myself. But if you want to go look it up, it's a kick-ass mockumentary about California and the oil prices and all that good stuff. So I fell in love with the process of seeing how something goes from concept to script to screen. And so I kind of, my head, the way I work is I'm super analytical, and, I process things a whole lot differently than most people. I think about things. My mind is constantly running. And so I came up with a bunch of different synopsises for movies. And I have to give a little bit of credit to my son's mother, Nikki Collier. Her and I sat down when I was acting, and we started writing a script called Bathwater. And it's one of the films that, we're eventually going to go to production on, provided we, make a name for ourselves with, this one and the next couple that we have lined up. But I have 7 synopsises that just kind of sat in the backside. I never got my full my big break in the movie industry, so to speak, in that first year of acting. So I had a family to support, so I kind of pushed it aside and, pretty much forgot about it for the most part. And then it come up, about 5 months ago, and a buddy of mine, my associate producer, Jeremy Miller, if you remember, was Ben Seaver on Growing Pains. And he was telling me about a project that he was working with. It was kind of a paranormal sci-fi type thing. And, it really made me start thinking about some of the concepts that I had. So I pitched him a couple of ideas. And, he's like, those are actually really good. They're original ideas. I haven't seen anything like that. So I started doing some research, and he said, let me get in touch with a couple of guys that, we can run this by and see if you can do anything with it. And so he put me in touch with a guy by the name of Jack London, who was a producer on the film to begin with. He's also doing some of the soundtrack stuff for Normal Terror. But what ended up happening was he really pushed me to start writing and getting this thing really going. And so what I ended up doing was this film has literally sat on the shelf for 12 years. And in the last 5 months, it's gone from nothing more than a synopsis to full production. And we start shooting in less than a week now.
March 10th. I remember you telling me about that. That right there is awesome. Like, you have a dream and you're just like going after it no matter what. I like how you said, you had to slow it. You didn't stop it, but you slowed it down because you had to take care of family. And as we discussed before we started this podcast, that's real important. That's first and foremost, no matter what. And now you're getting back on track. And I think it's cool how you involved your son in this. Now, how was that? Like, was he all for it at first, or was he kind of, because how, again, we've all been kids before, your parents are like, hey, there's something cool to do. And you're like, nah, I don't want to do that with dad. I'll look stupid. You know how it goes.
No, you know what, man? Actually, he's really excited to be a part of this, and he's helped out a lot with some of the different scenes and the writing and the concepts and ideas for stuff. He's really been a big part of it. My son Sammy Mason, he's every bit as analytical as I am. His logic is impeccable, as intelligent as I am. I find it really hard to argue with him sometimes because his logic is spot on. So yeah, he's really been a big part of this, and he's really excited to really get going and and be a
That's
part of
awesome.
this.
Well, I'm gonna,
As my
a little
co-star.
shout out to your son, Sammy Mason. Great job. I see what you guys do. I love how you guys share so much on social media, on Facebook and all that. And as I share as well, but just the simple stuff, as far as the little videos you do and this, you show like all the stuff with the special effects, is you don't get that from anywhere else but what you guys are doing, which I think is kind of cool because as a film of movies, as a fan of movies, horror movies in general, like you always wonder like how did they get to this to do this? How did they get this to do that? And you guys are pretty much showing it with showing the casts and all that, which I thought was just, I think it's a brilliant idea.
There's a couple of reasons we do that. One of the reasons that I'm using my son, go back to that for just a second, is that I want this film to be different. We only actually have two scripted lines in the entire movie. The rest of it's going to be completely improv. And here's why I want to do that. The reason I want to do that is because I want that natural, organic feel so that people can relate to, what's going on between this father and son. I don't want it to be something that's scripted where we have to remember lines, because the more takes you do takes away from that organic, natural feel. And the way my son and I communicate is very natural. It's very, real. And I think that's what's going to be different about this movie, is that we do have that natural feel and that natural interaction that we're basically just going to be filming and, editing it together, to make a movie out of it, along with, some psychological gore, as I like to call it. But as far as, the social media stuff, we felt it was very important because I am a nobody at this point. My company is a nobody. All of my actors and my crew are pretty much nobodies in the industry right now. And I have always wondered how they did certain things. And, being a horror lover myself and, and watching the classics and falling in love with the 80s style horror film where, it wasn't CGI, but it was actual props and this and that, I was very interested in how that process was done. I have an engineer's mind, and so I like to break things down and figure out how they're done. So what I did with this, and I kind of got a little flack in the beginning about it, but because we're nobody, I wanted to show something that nobody else does. You can buy the special features and, this and that, and, but it never really goes into detail about how this stuff is done. And so we're using, new products. My special effects team, Steven Stone Cipher, is a ballistics gel, expert, as I like to call him. He would, say different. He's a little more humble than I am, but I'm gonna pat him on the back right here. Steven Stone Cipher did some ballistics gel dummies for a company called Vsoft, which were very scientifically accurate, and they did, you can look them up online on YouTube. They did a couple of if Ryu's Sharukan uppercut was to happen in real life, how would it actually affect somebody? And so they made a ballistics gel dummy that was scientifically and anatomically correct, and he's a very good friend of mine. So, I immediately brought him on to be a part of this. And then I was in one of our horror groups on social media. And I had saw something that my makeup artist had posted, and I contacted her, and told her how amazing her work was. And that's Miss Marisol Almeida. And if you've followed us on social media, you can see what she did to our original ballistics gel torso. And we kind of messed that up a little bit, and we figured it was just going to be a scratch, and we would remake it. But she took it home and she did some makeup put magic on it. And I mean, I can't explain it as anything other than magic, because she took this thing and made it as realistic as it could possibly be from something that we thought we had screwed up on. So, you know, to have her on board, it's MJA makeup or something like that, special effects. I'm not sure exactly what her, and she's going to kill me for this, but I can't remember exactly what her link is, but it's MJA. And Marisol Almeida, and she's just absolutely phenomenal, but nobody knows her yet. You know, and the same thing with Steven Stonecipher, you know, is that his family's been in the business of doing the ballistics gel dummies for a really long time, but nobody knows who he is, you know. And so I tried to bring that in, you know, to people that, you know, not only have talent, but people that, you know, are close to me. You know, I like that loyalty. I like having people behind me that I can trust, you know, and aren't going to take in, you know, A, either run their mouths, or B, try to sell it to, you know, get something for themselves.
I hear you on that. I have to step away for like 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, brother.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Sam Mason of Sacrificial Pawn Productions, and I'm going to put in a plug while Miss Erin Sturdivant is no longer on set and on the mic. So here I am, and I'm talking about the film Normal Terror with Mr. Aaron Sturdivant. Just a little plug. Once again, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/New Style Gore Films, or you can find us on our Instagram at normal_terror_the movie. I think all that recorded. I don't know. He'll either edit it out or he won't. Anyways, I figured I'd fill the gap instead of having just plain silence. And doing videos on social media has really given me an opportunity to learn how to talk to myself, which is a little weird, but hey, you know, it happens. Aaron's going to come back and see the little squiggly lines on the sound bar and be like, what the fuck happened here? That's great. I'm loving this. Oh, where did the Aaron go? Oh, where did he go? Mr. Aaron Sturdivant. I thought I heard him for a second. I guess not quite yet. I hope to God he doesn't actually put this in the version he puts up live. Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Hopefully he can edit out those sound bites of me getting my fat ass up off this chair. Recording in process. Recording in process. Recording in process. Recording in process. Please hold. Recording in process. Please hold. Just in case he does happen to use any of this stuff on here, and cuts out any of the silences in between my, little quips and remarks and all this other shit that I do. I'm actually watching the soundbite bars go up and down as I'm watching the recording strip go by. And it's like the solid line is kind of bothering me a little bit. It's messing with my OCD. And I'm really kind of weird. So I have to fill up the bars with something. And it's really cool watching the different peaks of my voice as it comes across the soundbar on the recording. So, yeah, in case you're wondering what this is or what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, that's pretty much why, because I'm a weirdo and I have to fill up the bar with something other than just a blank line because I can't tell if it's moving forward or not. So, yeah, that's that. He's going to come back and review this shit and be like, what the fuck was all this? Damn, I really did miss it quite a bit. Oh, well. Hey, Aaron. Love you, brother. Appreciate you having us on. Just to give you guys a visual of what I see is like if you can imagine like a heart monitor in the hospital. It's like the lines going up and down, or like an EKG, or anything like that, where it shows like the earthquake needle going back and forth. That's kind of what I'm seeing across the sound bar as it's going and I'm speaking. So that's what I'm watching, and that's kind of why I'm playing with the voice in the monitor a little bit, is so that I can kind of watch this little tachycardia thing going, across the screen.
I'm back now, man. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, brother, man. I'm just sitting here playing tachycardia with the soundbite bar.
I'm gonna have to cut out all that blank space, but this part that you were just talking to yourself in, I'm gonna have to leave that in there. That's kind of funny.
Oh, dude, if you replay this back, man, there's a whole lot of that shit over the last couple of minutes.
I had a little, you have them little bathroom emergencies where your stomach just hit you out of nowhere, so I had to handle it.
Hey, no worries, man. Handle your business, bro.
But getting back into it though, and thank you for staying. I like how you were saying you like to keep the people, people close to you, friends and family and stuff, as far as keep them involved in this, and what you're doing with the Sacrificial Pawn Productions and with the Normal Terror movie, because a lot of times people don't always want to do that. They want to kind of go out and they want to try to get the biggest name possible, if at all possible, instead of kind of sticking with what sticking with who the people that really have your back, and you're just like, I want you guys to be in my corner. I want you guys to be not only in my corner, but I actually want you guys to be a part of this. I want you guys to be in my team. Whatever you need done. It sounds like you have like everybody personally, which is cool.
I can't say that everybody I know personally, as far as cast and crew. There are a few people that that I do know personally. Obviously my son, a couple of the background actors. We're going to have my foster kids on there, Dylan and Skylar Tracy. They're going to be my son's friends, and just miscellaneous B-roll stuff. Steven Stone Cipher is a good friend of mine. And we're I'm in a recovery program. I've been sober for a little over 9 years now. And I kind of met him through a mutual friend on social media, and we had talked a whole lot, but we had never actually physically met until we got into this process of the movie. And it's not like he's that far away. I mean, he's a couple miles up the road in Sun Valley. But we never physically actually met until I brought him into this and, discussed this idea with him. One of the other guys that I know well now is, Jeremy Miller, from the TV show Growing Pains once again. He's a very important person in my life, and I talk to him, weekly, sometimes daily. Who's extremely important in my life. Guys like that, I do absolutely have, in my corner to watch my back. I've got a couple other guys that I don't necessarily, aren't big parts of the production, but every little thing that everybody does. One of our actors for the murder scene, Standing Delicately, Ed Weishman, is a very good friend of mine. He's another one of my brothers. I try to keep people close that have been there for me. I can't imagine not having somebody in my corner and trying to do all of the things that I'm doing. I have no clue how that would work out. And it would just, as much as I have going on, and this being our first time, doing a production like this and doing it so much differently than what a normal production would do, and having, 1,000 people on board who are all doing each individual part is, this learning process and this learning curve is, it's been stressful, but it's also been exciting, and it's been a great thing.
That's awesome. I got a random question just popped in my head. How did you come up with the name Normal Terror?
That's actually a really good question. And going back to what we were saying in the beginning of the interview, in that first question, about the primal instincts of people and whatnot. Here in the synopsis of the movie is that you have this normal dad. He's just a single dad doing what he can, struggling to make ends meet, and doing his job as a parent. It's his number one priority. It's his primary purpose. And so you have this normal dad who goes through everyday life just like everybody else, that people can relate to. And then on the flip side of that, he happens to be a serial killer, and he reacts on those primal instincts that a lot of us just push back inside of our mind, because we know the difference between sanity and insanity. And it's, I'm leaving a lot of this open to speculation. I want the audience to leave the theater at the end of this movie. I want them to look at the person, I want them to look at the person next to them and wonder, what if? Because if you look at any, serial killer throughout history, the reason that they were able to become a serial killer is because they were, most of them were very charming. They were, outgoing. They were personable. They were normal people, but they did absolutely horrific things. And the psychology behind the name Normal Terror is that on one side you have the normal aspects of life that, nobody would recognize or realize that, hey, this is just your average Joe. And then on the flip side of that is, the absolute psychotic side of the person where, they do these horrible atrocities, and if you look at our world and where it's gone in the last 30 years, all of these terrible and horrible things have become normal.
You're right.
You're right. The feast and the famine in different countries, and the slavery going on in Africa, and the bombings, and these horrible atrocities are going on around the world. We've become desensitized to them. They've become absolutely normal. And so, the psychology, that I thought into bringing this together is pretty much about that. It's about the normal aspects of life mixed along with the terrible and horrible atrocities going on throughout the world today.
Wow, that's actually that was an amazing answer right there. But it all blends in. It makes sense. And like you're saying, we've been desensitized to about everything, which is, it's sad. It's sad and it's normal, I guess, in a sense, because everything that happens so much, you're just like, you're not like, it's not like you don't care, but it's like you're not surprised anymore.
No, you're really not, especially not with social media. People don't help each other anymore. Instead, they grab their phone and they, turn on live video. It is really sad, that we don't have that humanity anymore. And so I'm trying to do something different with this and really make people think. Now, do I think that it'll change anything? No, probably not. Because our minds are so, and everybody's mind is this way nowadays. Everybody's extremely ADHD, and we look for the next shiny thing, the next best thing. And it's sad, but I try not to do that as much in my personal life. That's out there normal today.
Okay, I like that. Let me see what I got next for you. Oh well, I got another fan question. I got a few. Well, from Julia Swanson McCormick on the normal page.
Yes. Yeah, she's a very good friend of mine. She's absolutely amazing. I love her to death, and I know she posted quite a few of them on our group page. So yeah, whatever you want to go at, man. It's your barbecue. I'm just here to enjoy the flavor.
I never heard that saying before, but I love it. I'm gonna jump around with her questions. So let's see. What do I want to ask first? Give me 1 second.
No worries.
Okay, here's one for you. What did you and your crew look for in the actors and actresses for selecting this film? Like, was there a particular look personality?
Okay, no, that's an absolutely great question. One of the things I wanted to do with this film is it is improv. Everything is, I'm going to kind of lead them into the direction I want the conversation and the lines that would normally be scripted to go. But it is improv ultimately. So one of the things I looked for was when I put out the ad was the ability to be an improv on the spot actor, actress. So they had to have an outgoing personality. They had to be personable. They had to be believable. I don't want somebody that's going to come on set and look fake. I don't want them. You're not going to sell it that way. It's going to come across cheesy, and that's just not going to work for me. So one of the things that I was looking for was the ability to do improv, the ability to be natural in an organic environment, which is why I did my auditions probably differently than anybody else did. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the teaser trailer that I had sent to you.
Yeah, I checked that out. The little
okay.
Yep, it was like 24 seconds, right?
Right. It was 24 seconds. And what I did was I ran, even though the abduction scenes are completely different, because I don't want him to have any particular MO. I want it to be completely up in the air. Some of it's, very random, because he has a little bit of time to kill, no pun intended there. But he's got a little bit of time to kill, and he has an opportunity, so he picks somebody up. I want a lot of speculation open for this, to leave it open for people to try and figure out why he does this. There is no real rhyme or reason. So when I was looking at this, I auditioned all of my actors and actresses the same way, and what we did was we actually ran through an abduction scene. Which you saw in the trailer that we did, which was a basic kidnapping, where I took a rag, I placed it over their face, simulating a chloroform type, feel. I told them I wanted them to struggle and fight with me, for 10 to 15 seconds and then pass out. And then I would pick them up and carry them off stage. And that's pretty much how I gave them the opportunity to do that, because it would be really hard to simulate kidnapping yourself.
Yes, it would be.
And I know a lot of, casting calls and auditions and stuff like that are very cold, and they're not very personable. So I kind of wanted to get some natural reactions. I wanted to see what their faces looked like on camera. I wanted to see what they were focusing on. I wanted to see how they struggled. I wanted to see how real it was, so that way I could take it back to my team and we could look at the film and and see how they actually looked on camera during a fairly realistic audition. And everybody I selected, had their strong points and their weak points, which is how I selected the actual abductions and murders that they're going to be in the film.
I like that. That's a real detailed answer, and I'm sure she'll appreciate you answering it like that. Well, I'm going to ask her last question next, but there's more questions.
Okay.
I'm not sure who this person is she's asking about, but she says she's asking for a friend with hard eyes after this. Is Joy Goodman single?
To my understanding, Joy Goodman is not single. However, Julie, I will be more than happy to contact her and let her know that your friend, wink, wink, is interested. But no, Joy Goodman is our actress for the nailed murder scene, and she has a little bit of a different abduction scene, which I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, I think you guys will really enjoy this. It's very realistic, and I think when you guys see it, you're gonna be like, wow, that could really fucking happen. And I wanted to do that with this movie. Is I wanted to make it as realistic as possible in situations that could actually really happen to people in life.
I know you sent me something. It's top secret, people. I'm not gonna read it, but I'm just grazing over this scene right now, and it's pretty brutal. I will say that about this movie is if you're a fan of gore and brutality, you will not be disappointed at all with this. I promise you on that one, because I'm a fan of both, and wow. And this is a good thing, wow.
Yeah, one of the things I've been going through over the last few weeks was doing a complete rewrite of the script to work it around, like I was saying before, as far as how I picked my actresses and actors. Was I had to do a rewrite in order to, because the way I originally had it, written out, they didn't necessarily work for some of the actresses, in our discussions and selecting them for the different parts. So I really, in order to make this really believable, I had to select parts that I thought would work for them. And I had to select abduction scenes that I thought would suit their strong points. So I kind of fed into that a little bit and made it a little bit more realistic that way. So I've been going through a complete rewrite of the entire script in order to make the actresses and the abductions go along with the murder scenes for who I selected for each.
I like that. I just like the realism of this movie. Like you're saying, how anything can happen. Any of this stuff can really happen to you or to somebody. And it's just, I really can't wait to see these scenes, because it's just, I already have like images in my mind. Just looking at this, I'm just like, holy shit, this is nuts. This is crazy. And I remember me and you were talking before, which I'll talk to you more about it, off the podcast thing, but how a couple years ago I was dabbling in my little writing thing, and I always wrote crazy, violent things, which I still got to find it to send it to you to check out. But this right here kind of reminds me some similar things about just the brutality of it more so, and a crazy guy. Right. I'm just like, wow. Again, this whole full circle thing, and now we're interviewing. Well, I'm interviewing you about this, and it's just crazy. Works how the mind works.
Right. It really is, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. Is I wanted it to be as realistic as possible, but I also wanted to add in, because if you really look at the horror films that are out today, Get Out was the first film that was truly original in the last 5-10 years. Everything else is rebranding, and a lot of it's done with CGI. And before that, the first real original film that came out was probably like Paranormal Activity. And then a few years before that was the Blair Witch Project. And those are really the only truly original concepts and movies that have been put out in the last 20 years, at least.
You're right about that. Like everything's a copycat movie as far as the horror, with the horror stuff goes. It's like somebody comes up with an idea, like you said, Paranormal Activity, and then everybody tries to do their own version of that. Which, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. And then you got the Blair Witch. Then you started seeing a lot of found footage films, and it doesn't work for everything as far as these ideas go. I like the ideas that people came up with, but I just like what you're doing. You're going a whole different route. You're just like, you know what? There's Easy Street, and then there's My Street. I'm gonna take My Street and just see where I can go with it.
No, absolutely. And that's why I call it a new style gore film, because it adds in some of the psychological, thriller aspects of it. But at the same time, you also have that, horrific gore, and I'm going very old school with this. I discuss this with my team and some of the people I have behind me supporting us. And, you get a lot more the less you show. Which is why, in the scene you were talking about in particular that I had sent to you off the record, is that, the stuff that, that I'm doing is going to be, it's going to give you a feeling of unease. It's going to be very intense, but I'm leaving a lot to the imagination. And again, we're going old school with this. We're going back to 80s style horror where they used actual physical props, and we're not having any visual effects done to this movie whatsoever.
Which I'm a huge fan of the 80s horror stuff. I love the special effects. I love the props. CGI, I'm not going to say I hate it, and I've been on this podcast with a few friends and stuff, and we talk about it damn near every episode. I like it to an extent. I just feel like it's overused. Sometimes I get it. At times you have to use it, but I just feel at times it's just used way too much, and it doesn't look as good. It doesn't look as real either. It looks too cartoony, like too animated / cartoony. Sometimes I'm just like, it can ruin the whole feel of the movie for me.
No, and I absolutely agree with that. I think it has its time and its place. I mean, here's a little off topic of horror, but if you look at what they did with The Matrix, I thought the CGI that they did in that was phenomenal, absolutely amazing. But you have things like, what was it? I watched recently, Jason X, where he's like in outer space or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry, but it was just, for me, it was too much. And this is obviously just my opinion from a fan. But I think it's way overused. And you had said something in your last statement about, what was it? Something about where it's necessary.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that there's really anything if you pull it off right with camera angles and you have the ingenuity to figure something out. I don't think you actually really need CGI for anything. If you have a team behind you and you bring on people that are able to bring about a solution. I think that there's a way to pull it off if you do it right.
I agree with you on that 100%. Again, back to the props and all that stuff. I love it. And speaking of the Friday the 13th franchise, which is my favorite horror franchise, but I have the same feelings about Jason X. But just like watching like the makings of that, they have the little makings thing. Like just the stuff they did back then for that movie in particular was just amazing. And I'm just like, wow, like it looks so good for its time. And a lot of those movies, that one and like a lot of the older ones included, they, in my opinion, they still stand up to these days with the horror, the jump scares, and just like the real feel of it, because it's not all CGI nonsense all over the place. And it's just, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing CGI. I'm not saying people don't bust their ass with it, because I know they do. But I just feel like with the props and stuff, you put a little bit more into it.
My personal opinion on it is that you take out the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was important to me is coming up with 80s horror. I mean, I'm a 70s kid, so, in the 80s and, late 80s and early 90s, was really the horror heyday. You didn't have the real big jump scares. You had signature sounds and you had, things that led your imagination to it. And I think, personally, I think that technology has kind of taken that and really almost ruined it to a certain degree for me. Is that it's very predictable, and it really doesn't have much of a soul in its own. And so, what I'm trying to do with Normal Terror is we're trying to bring back and give it a soul, and give it something, old school, but something in a completely new concept and a new way to do something.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. And it brings you back. Like, I know it's a different idea, a new idea, but it still brings you back to the older genre that we both grew up on and both love and respect. And pretty much, I feel like a lot of horror fans that are around maybe 30 years old. I'm 32, so I'll say 30 years old and older really will appreciate this movie. I'm not saying younger fans won't, but as far as like the CG, again, where like you were saying a little while ago, people are addicted to like the new shiny toys, the new shiny objects. I feel like CGI
Right.
is, and I feel like the props and all that is like the old school, like tough, the realness. We feel that. We love that.
Well, and I think with the CGI, you also take away a lot from your actors. You don't give them an opportunity to really shine when you do that because it's not them. It's a computer generated image, that you're manipulating to give it realism. And I think that really takes away from the talents of your actors themselves.
That's very true too. That is very, very true too. And I got another. I'm going to ask another question from Julie, and this actually ties into our discussion before we started recording about hot rods and muscle cars and
Okay.
cars and all that. Where did the 39 hot rod come from? Yeah.
You know what, man? That beautiful 39 hot rod is actually a good friend of Steven Stonecipher. Steven Stonecipher, my special effects, as I call genius. He's my special effects lead on the ballistic side of things. And what it is he does martial arts. He does Wing Chun. And so his shifu, his teacher, his trainer is the owner of that car. And Steven was talking to him about that. And I have to throw this out there real quick because I keep mentioning it. And we don't call him Steve or Steven anymore. We now call him Steve. And it's something that Marisol came up with when we were over here playing around, with the ballistics gel and stuff. And it kind of plays off of like the Wally type thing, the Eve. I don't know how it came about, but it did. And so even my kids call him Steve. So I can't just call him Steve anymore. It's Steve. Anyways, going back to on topic. Right? See, we're gonna have everybody doing it. It's great. Anyways, going back to topic. He was explaining to his shifu about the movie and the process and what we're doing. And he's actually going to be the skinning alive victim. Or the skinning the animal victim, excuse me. Now that I've kind of almost given it away. Shit. Anyways, so he was talking to him about his scene and all of that and kind of how we're setting up the abduction for that one. And his teacher was like, well, what do you think about doing this? And so Steve took a picture of the car and sent it to me, and I said, oh, fuck yes, dude. If I have an opportunity to use a fucking kick-ass, beautiful hot rod in the film, dude, I'm going to fucking jump on that like, nah, I'm not going to go there. Anyways, I'm going to jump on that. So, yeah, so he brought it over. Steve and I were meeting, the following day to work on some more molds, and, Marisol came out as well. But we all got together, and they brought the car and showed it to me. It's got a killer sound to it, and it's got it's absolutely beautiful. So as soon as I got the opportunity to actually use that, absolutely, man, I'm going to jump on that all day long.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful freaking car too, by the way. That I remember you guys posted some video with that car, and I was just like, holy shit. I was like, is this his car? 'Cause that's a nice car, but now we know.
You know what, man? If this movie goes off like we hope it will, then yeah, one day I will have something like that. But no, I can't take credit for that, man. This is Jerry's car. So,
Well, thank you to Jerry for that car, and Steve.
yes.
Oh man, that's gonna be stuck in my head. I wanted.
Dude, that's fantastic. I love that shit.
Oh man, we might have to name this episode Steve.
Hey, dude, I'm all down for that, brother.
Oh, that's cool though. But yeah, back into the movie though. Like I was saying, I love the detail. Like, just it's awesome. Like I'm not gonna say I'm a writer, but I know how hard it is to write and all that. Did you get writer's block at all when you were doing this?
I really have. It's extremely difficult taking what I had originally in the script and making a chronological shot list like the scene that I sent you. For the particular scene you're talking about, the autopsy scene, I think is what you're talking about. And for that particular scene, there's 128 individual shots. So breaking that down and really, because I have to visually, originally the way I had it set up was that I had it set up so that I could explain to my DP or my cinematographer what I wanted. And then I would, jump back and forth between director and character. Because I am starring in this film, I'm directing it, I'm producing it, I wrote it, it's my concept. I'm doing special effects, I'm doing my own promotions. I mean, I have so much that I'm doing on this film. I was talking to a writer friend of mine, and he was telling me, it would be much easier if you broke it down into a shot list, a chronological shot list. One, for your editor, so that way he can take and figure out exactly what footage needs to be where. And then also for your DP, so that way you don't have to break character very often to look at the shots and decide if that's what you want for that particular shot. If I have my vision in my head and I'm able to write that out so that you can look at it and say, okay, I understand exactly what you want, and then do what, because I'm not a cinematographer. I don't know aperture. I don't know, how that stuff works. And I'm not going to tell somebody how to do their job. I'm not an editor. I don't know how the editing works. I'm not going to try and tell my editor, that this is what needs to be done. That's why I brought him on, is because, and if you saw the trailer again, he took raw, basic amateur audition footage that was taken on my phone and he turned it into that trailer. So I'm not going to try and step in the way of the people that I brought on and try to tell them how to do their job. That's not what I'm here for. That's why I brought them in, is to allow them the creative juices to flow, so to speak, and allow them to really, excel in what they do and give them that freedom, provided it, it falls in line with what we have.
Okay. I like that one too. I love these answers, man. You're really in depth with them. This is working out real. This is easier than I thought it would be. Thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, it's for me, like I said, I'm very analytical. I'm a thinker. I like to think outside the box. And I think it's important, especially since we're a nobody right now. I think it's very important for people to, kind of understand the process and what it takes to make this stuff happen, and to realize that anybody can make their dreams come true if they simply put in the effort. You have to take the action, but you can make absolutely anything happen. I've never done a film before. I've never, written a full script before. I've never directed before. I apologize, the background sounds, my computer keeps going off. But I've never done this stuff before. I've never done my own promotions or my own merchandise, or or any of this stuff. I mean, I had my DP hire a graphic artist to put together a poster based off of a concept that our editor came up with, and we did a photo shoot for that. So, I mean, I've never done this stuff before, but I have an idea in my head, and I think if the idea that's in my head can be transferred into words so that other people can look at it and see the same vision or a similar vision to what I have, then I think it's going to make a huge difference. And I think that anybody and everybody can truly follow their dreams if they put in the effort.
I agree 100% on that. 100%. It's funny because we were, again, before we started recording, we were talking about the hard work and the effort you got to put in to do what you want to do in life, and came around again.
And for me, I mean, it's like, for the last 4 months, I've been working, 20-hour days to do this thing, because I'm doing so many different aspects of this film, but it's my baby. It's my passion, and that's why I have the team that I do behind or beside me. I'm not going to say behind me anymore, because they're not behind me. They're at my side, locked arm in arm. And, my team is right there, with the same amount of passion, that I'm putting into this is the reason that they're on board the way they are.
And I got another one for you.
Okay.
What has been the most memorable moment in pre-production so far?
The most memorable moment of pre-production.
Is it Steve?
Right, Steve. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say the photo shoot that we did for the official poster, the theatrical release poster. I think that was probably the most memorable. It's where we really got together as a team. Anna Hamill, our second unit DP, did the photo shoot. Demetrius was the idea. He was kind of here directing. Demetrius is our post-production editor. And then Marisol was doing the makeup and the special effects. And I think that was the moment that we really came together as a team and saw something and believed in it. And then, of course, we then took it and I asked Anna to, Demetrius had messed around with the image, but he couldn't get what he had in his head just right. So Anna had mentioned to me, maybe we could look at like a graphic artist as somebody who does nothing but put together movie posters. That's what they do. And so we kind of gave our idea over to Anna, talked to a couple of people, and her and I selected one. We tossed them out the idea, and the poster is what we came up with. And I think it's absolutely a brilliant concept. I think it's we executed the concept brilliantly, and I think the graphic artist that we hired, I think he put it together absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, speaking of that poster, that thing is freaking. I like it a lot. That's amazing. That work you guys did on it. I like it. It's different. It looks like you're about to jump out the mirror, and looking in the mirror, it looks like you're about to fight yourself in that mirror. Just that's what I get from that image. Like the guy's kind of battling himself between his craziness and then his regular normal dad's, his normal dad side, everyday person side. And
Well, and that's really what we were going for with this concept, is that on one aspect you have this normal dad who's, doing everything he can to take care of his son and be a single father and dealing with those difficulties. And the other aspect you have is, that you have that primal side of him, and you really don't know which is taking over which at what times. And we do have a couple of moments in the movie where it's going to be a plot twist and everybody's going to sit back in their seat and be like, holy fuck, what just happened? And I think that's kind of what we were going for leading into this, was that, you're going to have that psychological aspect of, well, which one is which? How does he differentiate? And that's something I want to leave open to our audience and our fans to decipher, is that, which one is which one is in control, who is he when? What is it that switches and changes in him that makes him that?
Without giving it away, like, you can just say the name of the scene, I guess. I'm gonna do this. What
Okay.
was your favorite murder scene? Like, without going into detail.
Honestly, they're all my favorites. Each one of them has its own aspect. The first scene that you're going to get to see within a couple of minutes of the opening of the movie is going to be autopsy. And then the first official movie scene, murder scene, is going to be acid bath, which we're actually going to be shooting the middle of next week. So since I'm not working on anything but the movie right now, I have that opportunity. If my cast and my crew is available to shoot during the week, then we're going to try and get that shot as soon as possible. But the first murder scene we're going to put together is going to be acid bath. It has its aspects, it has its brutality, has its gore, it has its, all the same aspects as every other, scene in the movie, the way I envision it. And I'm hoping that we can transfer that onto camera and onto the, hopefully the big screen one day, and capture that realism, that gore, that, holy shit aspect.
I was, as you were talking about that, I'm just reading this scene. I'm just like, I can't wait to see this freaking scene. Wow.
Well, remember, man, if we get 500 fans, I will release a scene on our Facebook page. It'll be in written form, but I will release one of our scenes as soon as we hit 500 fans on our Facebook page.
I'm telling you right now, people, just reading it, you could read this scene and close your eyes and you can get a crazy ass visual of it. So I'm not sure how many fans are on the Normal Terror page right now, but we need, and yes, I said we because, we like to help each other out. We need 500.
Right now, we're sitting at 394 likes right now. 394. We're 106 away from me releasing a murder scene, bro.
100, and as a matter of fact, once this episode is over, I will go live and I will say we need 106 more people to like Normal Terror so he can release a scene.
Hey, right on, brother. And you know what, dude? I'll tell you right now, man, not to completely give away the end of the movie because I can't do that because it's going to be a shocking what the fuck moment, is that I will release Acid Bath. How about that? The first official murder scene in the movie.
He will release Acid Bath. Now that is huge.
I'm not sure if you've even read that one yet, bro.
No, it's number 2, right?
Yeah, that's number 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. No, that's the one I was saying. As you were discussing it, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just like, holy shit! You can close it. And
I love that, man. I love it.
These people, because you sent me a lot of the scenes and stuff, and it's hard not to. I can't discuss it. I'm just like, holy, this is so fucking awesome. So people, listen. I'm not ending this right now, but I'm just saying, go to the normal terror group, check that out. Check out the Horror with Sir Sturdy group. Check out Sacrificial Productions. Sam is a really awesome guy. Very, very responsive. He'll talk to anybody, and I think this movie is going to be awesome. And fan support, horror fans, we got to unite and support this. Support all 3 of those pages, including my Horror with Sir Sturdy and this podcast. And with that, I'm going to go into another question.
Bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Kind of discuss this, but she's also a fan of your son. How is it working with him, and does he have like a prominent role in the movie?
Actually, yes. My son is the co-star. So what we're looking at right now is we're trying to keep it right about between 98 and 102 minutes for the full feature. And going back to the promotion and trying to stick together real quick. I appreciate all the support that you've given us. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I absolutely will talk to anybody about this. I won't necessarily give huge details, to absolutely everybody, but I will talk to anybody and try to communicate with them as much as I possibly can. But the thing with gaining fans and building a following now, before we've even shot this movie, I've already had two distributors that have contacted me about distribution. We haven't shot 1 second of footage yet. So that in itself is huge. It generally doesn't happen like that in the movie industry unless you are somebody or you have a name behind you. Which we don't. So we're trying to build a following so that way when we do have something tangible in our hands that we can hand to somebody else, for distribution, that, they can look at our following and they can say, you know what, these people have a great following already. I think we're going to be able to make our money back and a whole lot more. So looking at it from the distribution side, the reason that we're trying to expand and really blow this thing up and, doing it is much as we possibly can, is because of that aspect. If we have a big following, there's much more likelihood that one of the bigger distribution companies will pick it up, and you will be able to see it in theaters nationwide or worldwide. Because if it doesn't have that big of a following, it's going to make it a lot harder to get a good distribution deal so that you can see it everywhere. So going back to my relationship with my son, right?
Yeah, just how does he have like a real prominent role in the movie? Which you said he's a co-star in it, and how is it working with him?
You know what, man? Like I was saying before, it's phenomenal working with my son. We have that organic nature between us. This is pretty much just him and I going about our daily lives. And we're capturing it on film. There is obviously some differences, some changes that we're adding into it. But I want people to, I want Joe up the street who's a single dad, to be able to look at this and say, you know what, man, that's me and my kid. I want, the guy in Wisconsin who's, Green Bay fan, no plug there. But, I want that guy, who's the single dads out there and the single moms out there be able to look at my character and be like, you know what, man? Yeah, I go through that shit too. I can relate to this guy. I want my character, Sam Neill, to be the character that everybody loves to hate. I want to be that iconic type character, and I hope I can portray that, coming into this. So as far as working with my son, I think it's as natural as our everyday lives. And his prominency in the role, or his prominent role in this film is going to be damn near as much as mine, except for the murder scenes. So there's approximately 60 minutes or so of him and I on film together.
That's awesome right there. So he's in most of the movie with that.
That is correct.
That's good. Yes. And that was another one of Julie's amazing questions.
I love Julie to death, man. She's been phenomenal in supporting us from the very start of this. She's a really good friend of mine. We don't talk as much as I'd like to sometimes. But she's got a lot going on. I've got a lot going on, and we don't always get a chance to meet up. But yeah, Miss Julie McCormick is absolutely phenomenal. She's a huge supporter of our page, and the process, and of this. And I've got a few of those people, they're really behind us and really pushing us. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind me giving some shout outs real quick, I'll be more than happy to.
I don't mind at all. Mine, as I've said before, with my horror page and my podcast, I want us as horror fans to, unite, connect, communicate, and all that good stuff. I want to build up my fan base. You want to build up your fan base and all that. So you can shout out whoever you want to shout out. And I just want to shout out before you get into it. When we're done with this podcast, one of my good friends, his name is Anthony. He has his own podcast. It's called Video Game Crosstalk. And I would love for you two to connect. His is about video games, technology, and science, but your story and everything that you're talking about, I know he'd be interested in. So I'd like to, you guys would connect on this, but absolutely shout him out and let people know where they can find you and where they can find your awesome merchandise and that awesome poster.
You know, I actually did some of that when you were on your hiatus from the show for a minute. I kind of gave out a couple of plugs and miscellaneous shit here and there. But I'm going to go to my Instagram real quick and kind of give some shout outs to some people that have followed me from the beginning. So some of the people that have really followed us from the beginning, let's see, there is a Instagram. Where are you? It's horror movie underscore lovers underscore. Let's see, wild card dot B1 itches. Let me see. There's one person in particular I'm looking for. She's liked almost all of our shit. You know, she's been a phenomenal fan. Sarah of Horror has been a really good fan of ours. The DSS is a very good friend of mine. Sylvia Flores, living underscore life underscore sober. Rick Ungrau is my buddy from across the sea. The Horror Nurse. Lisa Sickles. Let's see, Ashley Elmquist. Let's see, Paralysis Official, of course, is one of our other bands that are going to be on on the soundtrack. Larry Clayfield or Larry C. Layfield. Is one of our fans, and then there's another one. Is Chris Anarchy, something like that. Let me see if I can pull that one up real quick. Of course, there's Katie Bush. There's Julie. There's Jen McCormick, and there's just so many people that are behind us and supporting us on this. Anna's family is behind us. Our DP. Her family is behind us, and her mom and her grandmother, and there's a lot of people that are in this that are really behind us and really pushing us to get this going. And I couldn't be more grateful or ecstatic that we have the support that we have, because I know that the fans that we have right now, they're not really just fans, man. They're family, and I know that they're going to stand by us and love what we do.
That's awesome right there. And I know those people will be happy to know that they got shouted out on this. Hopefully they follow this podcast. If they don't now, hopefully they do after they hear this, because it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I don't know so much for you, but definitely for me, just quick thing. Like you hear somebody else say your name on something, you're like, holy shit, they noticed or they remembered. It's cool feeling as a fan. It makes you a bigger fan in a sense, because like they realize they're fans. They notice they're fans of that. So shout out to all those people. Again, check this podcast out, War with Sir Sturdy.
I'm actually going to throw a couple more out there real quick, man. I got to give a shout out to Jen Thompson, and another very, very good friend of mine across the pond, Amanda Gardner Mason, Shannon Tracy, Steve Bignell, Lisa Sickles, Nikki Collier, Jeremy Miller, Kelly Kickham, my buddy Cal King on the East Coast, Alyssa Bermuda, our actress, Julie Swanson McCormick, Gary Cook for the lead singer of Invasive, Anthony Pierce, a buddy of mine, Michael Wayne Smith, Candy Girl Schlarbaum, Dave Nagy, special effects genius out of the East Coast. And then you have, I got a couple other people in here real quick. I want to give a shout out to Ashley Lyle has been amazing at helping us with our, some of our promotions and stuff like that. Jay Marr from the band Nervous that we're going to be using for the soundtrack. Jerry Mounts is the guy that's letting us use the car. Oscar Sebastian Rodriguez is the gentleman that's with Paralysis Official. That's going to be one of our filling in some soundtracks and stuff on the musical score side of things. Let me see. There's I got a couple more in here. Laura Villalobos. I have David Lewis, who is with the band Ambrosia, the 70s and 80s band. Brian Marco has done a lot of, kick-ass stuff for us. He's the one who's added a lot of our watermarks on our pictures and stuff. Monica Hobby, special effects genius on down in Florida. John Malersky and his wife Jen. They've been absolutely phenomenal in helping us out and keeping that support going. Sean Backman, a really good friend of mine. My Aunt Sherry. Just dude, the list just really goes on people that have supported us. Michelle Welker is a photographer up in Washington, real good friends with the band Invasive, and that was how we got in contact. And it's like, dude, I can't express enough some of these people that have been there for us and supported us from the very beginning when we really had no following and didn't really have a whole lot out there. And it's just it's been absolutely amazing. Truly has.
Oh man, trust me, I know the feeling with different things, but like with this podcast thing, I know my number one supporter is definitely my wife pushing me to do this because I've been talking about it for probably 2 or 3 years now, honestly, because I would do like little I started out doing like little unboxing videos of horror stuff I'd collect here and there. I'm saying, promising I'm gonna do a podcast, and one day I think I was at work and she sent me a text message with a picture in it, and it was a picture of podcast equipment. She was like, "Do you want this?" And I was like I had a big ass smile on my face. I was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Good, because I already ordered it." And that right there was just like, I mean, it pushed me even more to really get this going. To get this, it's. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. It's kind of tough when you're like I'm not gonna say I'm a one man show because I do, I record with friends and family or whoever I can record with. It would be a lot easier, obviously if I had a co-host. So that's what was holding me back. But once I got this equipment, I'm like, I can't. Well, I use that as an excuse, and I use the excuse I didn't have the equipment. But now that I have the equipment, like I can't use that excuse anymore. So now, as you've seen, I don't know if you got to catch my podcast at all yesterday because we were live. We went live, me and my friend, and I just get family and friends to record with me anytime I get a chance to. I'm so happy you're on here, and I hope you're on here again, man. And hopefully I can get some on here.
We'll absolutely love to come back as much as you'll have us on. And, if you ever want some, any of the other cast or crew to kind of give their aspect of things, I'll be more than happy to make sure that they're available to be a part of it too. It is so funny you're mentioning, that extra push to really get things going. I got to give a huge shout out to Jack London, for really giving me that passion back to really push this thing and get it written and get it going. We've come such a long way in such a short period of time. It's this kind of stuff just doesn't happen in the film industry, man. It just doesn't, and to pull a cast and a crew in, that is on board and has made absolutely amazing strides. And I completely believe and love everybody in my cast and on my crew. It's, you're talking about equipment, and it's like, as we got closer and closer, to shooting and stuff, man, I was really starting to get worried that, well, fuck, what Steadicam do I use? What mic do I use? How do we hook up the mic? How do we do the sound? How do we do the lighting? How do we, what am I going to record on? What kind of memory card, this, that, and the other, and everything is really just falling into place, and we, my, I don't know if you've, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen the pictures of the equipment that I took, because I'm really fucking excited, and we've got all of our stuff in to really get moving and and have the steady cam shots and the follows and the pans and and all of this stuff that dude, we're fucking doing this, man. It's happening and it's so close. I can taste it. My mouth's watering, and it's right there, man. And I'm so fucking ecstatic, dude. I'm scared to death, but I'm ecstatic.
I'm with you on. You don't know how excited I am to see this when it does come out. Like I said, just from the shit you sent me that I can read. Haha, you guys can't, but I can. I had to throw that in. But just from this stuff, I'm just like I can close my eyes with a lot of this stuff and just kind of see it. But I'd like to see it from your actual vision, from like the actual movie. And I'm almost speechless with this because you sent me a lot of scenes, and I'm just like, this is just. It's awesome because it's like, again, like I said, how I was writing something before, and just they're not exactly the same at all, but it's just like a similar outlook on things. And like I said, I'll message you on that and talk to you about that off of this. But it's the ideas are just wow, just wow, man.
Well, and that goes back to what we were talking about as far as bringing something truly new to the industry. And I mean, when I came up with this, the idea, I mean, I had to come up with a production company because it's completely ours, and we're doing it, everything in house. And in order to do that, I had to come up with a production company. And so the production company name was something that my son and I came up with. We were talking about heavy metal bands a while back. It was like a band name generator or some shit like that. And so my son and I were sitting there, we were bullshitting, and we came up with this concept, Sacrificial Pawn. It would be a killer metal band name. And so when I got ready to start the production company, that's kind of what I went with. It was like that was the first thing that popped in my head. It was like, well, it's horror film, and I have a concept for an animation, that I would eventually, once we have a little money behind us, excuse me, to turn our Sacrificial Pawn Productions logo into an animation. I have a concept for that, and eventually we'll get that done. But it was really every bit of this, man, is come from from me and my son together. Is what we're doing, and the way we're thinking and the way we relate, and everybody that we have on board is just like and it amazes me, that we're bringing something completely new. I mean, when I say that it's a new style gore film, I mean, I absolutely believe in that with all of my heart, that this is going to be a new style gore film. And I think it's going to bring horror to a whole new level.
You know what's funny about that statement you just said is you just answered the question I was about to ask you, which is where the Sacrificial Pawn Productions name came from. I had that right. I'm glad you. That's awesome though. I'm not into the metal stuff, but that does sound like an awesome band name, and it works for your for what you're doing with your movie and stuff. It's wow.
Yeah, they kind of work hand in hand, I mean, but that's another thing you'll notice about this film, I mean, a lot of people see horror films and they think, like Rob Zombie kind of music, the real heavy industrial kind of sound, and we're not doing that with this film, the soundtrack that we have, and the musical score that we're putting behind it, by David Lewis and my buddy Oscar with Paralysis, is we're going a completely different route. So you're going to be watching this, you're going to be like, that dude, that sounds great. It works. It fucking totally fits. But that's not what I would expect from this character.
I'm interested in hearing this soundtrack, though. I'm not going to lie to you, just to see how it connects. I want to see if it connects with what I'm reading. But it's, oh man,
right?
I can't get over how awesome this stuff is that you sent me. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. Haha, you guys can't read this, but it's.
Dude, I love that you're doing that, man. That's fucking making me so happy.
It's one of those things where like this is my first interview, official interview, and I'm just I've never got to do this. As you know, I didn't send you any show notes. I don't do that. I'm still kind of working on that, so to speak. The whole show notes thing, it's more of a freestyle thing, but I watch like a lot of interviews. I watch like a lot of, just because I'm interested in it. I see how these guys always have these notes and stuff. And I see how like a lot of times how they'll read certain things, but they won't read the whole thing what they have because they can't really go into detail about it until that product comes out or until the owner of the product gives the okay, like, okay, you can say this about this. And I have it in front of me and nobody else does. So, haha.
No, you know what, man? You can talk about absolutely anything, and I'll let you know what details I'll go into and what I won't. But no, honestly, bro, I think that the organicness of of doing the show more of a freestyle kind of thing and letting it take its own natural flow is kind of what I'm doing with the movie. Is the same concept, the same aspect. So we're gonna let it take a life of its own. The life that it's supposed to take. Rather than something that's restrained within a box.
I get what you mean with that. And honestly, for me, it kind of seems easier because it's like, if I'm sitting here thinking, say, with this interview, at first I'm thinking like, oh, because I've just, we talk back and forth a lot on Facebook, damn near every day, and I was talking to you like, shit, I really don't have any notes. I don't know what I'm gonna say. That, and you're just like, look, man, just take it easy, do what you do with your freestyle and stuff. Because I tell you how I do that, and just it'll be great, and it's turning out great, and it works a lot easier because you're not, like I said, you're not here stumbling, thinking about questions the whole week. It just kind of flows, just kind of flows out with the conversation. And I will say this. I'm not going to say what happens in this scene, but the slice and dice, I like the name of that. And I'll tell you that because in my intro, I say, let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy, horror fans.
Right?
And
yeah, I've noticed that, man. Oh, and I also want to give you a huge shout out to putting our little sound bite in the beginning of your show, man. I really do appreciate that, and like I said, I appreciate all the support that you've given us so far. And this being our first official interview, is huge for us. Because again, we're just a nobody, man. Nobody's heard about us yet. But one of the hashtags that I use on Instagram, on our Instagram page, is no one's talking about us yet, but they will be. So you give us a few months and let us get our official, movie trailer out. And, we're going to post that out as soon as we're going to post 2 murder scenes, and we're going to have a bunch of the footage, the normal footage between Sammy and I, put together for our official trailer that we're going to release, our media trailer. It's going to be about 2.5 minutes, but we're only releasing 2 murder scenes in that trailer. We're not giving you the whole fucking film like everybody else does. We're giving you just enough taste to get you horny, but not enough to get you off.
That first, that is funny as shit. And second of all, oh shit. No, you got a point though, because there's a lot of movies, I can't think of them off the top of the head, but there's a lot of movies that come out now, and they're showing you like all the best scenes for the whole damn movie. You go to see the movie because you're so hyped. You're like, what? I could have fucking just watched the trailer and see the whole damn movie for free,
right? Dude, and that's the
it.
whole thing, man. So many people put like the whole fucking thing in the trailer, man. And it's like, I'm looking at it and it's like, and then I go, I watched the movie because they got me interested, thinking that the best shit they left out. And it's like, I don't want to do that with ours. I'm giving you just enough to get you hard, or get you wet, but I'm not going to give you any more than that, dude. If you really want to fucking satisfy yourself, dude, you got to come and watch the fucking movie.
Well, with that being said, and so how you saying you're releasing 2 scenes now? I don't know. I guess you can say I'm an insider to an extent, people, but I don't know which 2 scenes it is. But I'm gonna request Slice and Dice be one, and that's because of my slicing and dicing thing.
Right.
I'm just throwing that out there. But
you know what, man? If we can work that out, I'm not sure if we can release any of that scene right now because of a plot twist in the film. And you and I can talk about that a little bit more off record. Actually, I think about that if you're reading it. But yeah, I'm not sure how much of that I can release right now. But I'll talk to my team and see what they think and see what we can do, and we'll go from there. But I'll see if I can't get you a clip of that for your show.
That's awesome. Even just a little audio, that'd be awesome right there. And back to when you said, and thank you for sending me the soundbite that you sent me. And I'll say you're welcome for putting the soundbite on, but I'm gonna have to give that my younger brother Christian, he's the one who produces every single episode for me, so I'm gonna give him a shout out. Like, I just send him the episodes and he gets to it when he can. He mixes it down for me. If there's anything that needs to be cleaned up and cut, he does that. He actually made the beat that comes in, after you're talking and all that, and after I say my little intro, he's the one who made the beat for that. I'm doing beats for you.
Nice.
So
Nah, dude, I got to give you mad props, man. You and your brother did a phenomenal job in putting that together. I know the sound was real, rough and scratchy. I'm not sure how I sound now, but I used the same thing, and I was trying to keep the kids quiet while I was recording, and it's like, and then of course trying to figure out what the fuck I was gonna say, and putting together a 1 minute bite, is like, trying to explain this thing. Is like, dude, fucking seriously, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to write. I'm not a PR media guy. I'm not, all this shit. I had no clue what the fuck I was going to do, man. So I just wrote something out real quick and fucking spit it down, and you guys turned it into something phenomenal. So thank you guys for that.
You're very welcome. And it to me, it sounded great. It worked great. It works perfect. And honestly, I might just, I mean, if it's okay with you, I kind of like it as my, you know, how it comes in as the intro and then my intro comes in. If you're cool with it, I'll leave it in there permanently. I love it.
Hey, fucking have at it, brother. I'm not going to tell you no, but I will tell you this much, dude. When we get ready to do our next film, brother, let me tell you, man, this is going to be phenomenal, dude. Our next one that we have lined up to go after we get this one done, when we get a little bit of a name behind us, is going to be a whole lot. It's going to be another one of those new concepts. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, I'll tell you this. Like I said, for the normal terror one, you know, I'm going to be 100% backing this from Sacrificial Pawn Productions from now on. So if you want to send me a soundbite for that, when it comes time, it'll be on the podcast. I can promise you that, man, because I love the connection. It's awesome.
No, you know what, man? It's, you know, I've talked to a lot of people, and you know, it's, you know, I put out a run to Rob Zombie, you know, on Instagram, and I was like, you know what, dude, the likelihood of you ever seeing this is, you know, is slim to none, you know, and I get that, you know, but, you know, I think a lot of people lose some of their humility, and, you know, the fact that they're just average people and they all started somewhere, you know, when they get a little bit of fame and recognition, and, you know, and their product goes somewhere, you know, and I hope to God, you know, that he's able to keep me on my knees, and, you know, and keep the humility in me, you know, no matter where this thing goes or whatever else we do. You know, we are going to be available to Steve and I are talking about putting together a special effects company called Stone Mason Special Effects. You know, and if anybody wants any of the gelatin molds or anything in particular they want done that's going to be as realistic as the shit that we're doing, we'll be more than happy to do that. But, you know, I hope I don't lose the humility that I have right now, you know, in communicating with everyday people, because, you know, the fact of the matter is, dude, is I'm just an everyday average Joe, you know, and trying to give my kids a better life. So, you know, you know, if I ever start stepping outside of line, man, I hope somebody like you that was, you know, with us in the beginning, you know, could take and bitch smack me, and, you know, and help me wake up to the reality. You know what? I'm just everyday average Joe, man.
Oh, listen, I'll tell you right now, man. I have no problem. If I have to call you out, I will, and I'll get Steve to help.
Nice.
Oh.
But yeah, no, we, you know, Steve and I have been talking, you know, because our molds and everything have come out so fantastically. And I'm pretty sure that's a new word I just made up. But anyways, you know, they've come out amazing. And, you know, and then to send them to Marisol and have her make them, you know, match the actress like amazingly perfect. You know, obviously there's going to be some discrepancies here and there, you know, if you really want to nitpick them, you know, but that's with anything, dude. I mean, fuck, man, none of us are perfect. If you take a picture of us and then you simulate it, you know, I mean, you could have the exact picture that you just took, duplicate it, put it right next to it, and somebody's going to find a mistake somewhere, even though it's the exact same picture. So, you know, the fact that she can do what she does, you know, when Steve and I do put together Stone Mason Special Effects, we're going to have a exclusive contract with Marisol that if they want them painted to look natural and look realistic, that, you know, she's the only person that does that aspect of it. So, you know, we're very loyal people. We're a very loyal company, and you know, we're going to continue to keep that loyalty with, you know, with everybody that we have.
That's pretty awesome right there. And I wanted to bring up you know, with the stuff that you guys make, the molds and all that. Now, there was one that I seen you post online, the same one you sent me, where you guys had like a little mistake with it. You're saying you messed up on it and then fixed it, which was freaking awesome. It was the female torso. That was, I thought that was awesome. Like, and what I like, actually, scratch that. What I love about it is that you guys actually put out the mistake. You didn't just put out the perfect final copy. You put out the mistake and then put out how you guys fixed it. I was like, that right there, it's a lot. It means a lot because it's like you again, like I was saying before, all the stuff you guys put out, you don't get that from the big time movies. You don't get that from any other movie, but you guys are doing it. And I think what you guys are doing, in my opinion, once you guys get heard of, I think you guys should keep doing it the way you're doing it because I feel like later on down the road, it's going to end up being a trend where bigger movies are going to be like, holy shit, this guy did this. You know, this guy and his team did this with this. They're putting these type of special effects out, showing how they did it. And you know what? It hit big. We should do this too. Maybe it'll. I mean, they might not share it on social media like you guys do, but like maybe in their special features or whatever, like, you know, you get the bonus DVD, you get to see the actual behind the scenes, not just little skits here and there, but you get to see like actual, you know, footage of them putting this stuff together, which as a fan of the movies, as a fan of the horror movies, I always wanted to see something like that. Like, how did they get this to work? You know, how did they do this?
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you, man. And you know, provided we do have the budget and everything else to continue on with our company, you know, and make another film after this one, I think it's extremely important for us to continue with what we started with and continue who we are, because the reality of it is, dude, is, you know, back in, you know, 10, 15 years ago, if there wasn't social media, nobody would ever hear of us, you know. And I'm going to tell you right now that I searched on Google for different aspects. I searched up Sacrificial Pawn Productions. I searched Normal Terror. I just did these random searches, you know, and Normal Terror came up as the number 7 item on Google. Sacrificial Pawn Productions came up as the top 3 on Google search. And I'm not paying for any of this shit, dude. This is all just free promotion because I'm posting and I'm, you know, and I'm engaged with, you know, with our fans and our family, and you know, I'm putting us out there as much as I possibly can. And I know it pisses some people off because I fill up their news feed on Facebook or Instagram or, you know, this and that. But, you know, the only way that we're going to get marks like that without having to pay a PR person for it, you know, or a media guru or whatever the fuck you want to call it, is by doing it this way. You know, I mean, I'm the only one, you know, along with, you know, my family, my fans, my crew, my, you know, our, you know, everybody we have behind or beside us, you know, the sharing us and getting us out there is, you know, is by doing it this way. You know, that's the only way we're going to get the, you know, the top 3 links on Google. You don't hear about shit like that. And that's what I was saying earlier about, you know, the concept and the way that this whole thing is going from the beginning to where we are now in less than 6 months, bro. You know, in less than 6 months, we've fucking gone from nothing more than a 2-sentence synopsis to a full production. You know, and shit like that just doesn't happen that way, you know, and you know, the drive that we all have in trying to make this happen, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, man, I'm struggling in my daily life, you know, and putting everything I can into this, you know, but it's worth it to me because I think ultimately it's going to pay off. I think the long hours and the hard work is going to pay off. And you know, ultimately I'm looking at it, you know, not only achieving my dream, even if it doesn't ever go anywhere, you know, that I can sit back and I say that I have accomplished a dream. You know, I have turned a dream into a goal and I accomplished that. And I can look back at something that I made. There was nothing more than an idea in my head. You know, a lot of people can't say that, you know, about something that they truly feel passionate about in their lives, you know, that, you know, they accomplished a dream. You know, and so regardless of whether it goes anywhere or not, you know, I really hope it does. I hope we build up the fan base. I hope we get a great distribution deal. I hope we get a merchandising deal, and you know, and we become a, you know, an icon in the horror field and a new way of doing things. You know, and you know, I promise you this right now, bro, is that I will absolutely make sure that we continue to market ourselves the way we are right now and putting stuff out there so that everybody can be a part of it. You know, because one of the things that we're doing too is we're using new products, you know, that nobody else in the industry is using, and the results we're getting are fucking amazing. You know, so you know, we're not doing it old school where you make a cast and then you know, you fiberglass it and you make a reverse mold and then you fiberglass that and you make a double mold. And it's like, you know, we're not doing it that way. We're doing it on a very cheap budget. And I'll tell you, as of right now, we've only spent approximately $1,400 on everything for this movie. Our budget is fucking nothing, dude. You know, nothing at all. And we've still been able to get as far as we have, because we are doing it the way we are. So, again, thank you guys for putting us out there and supporting us. And, I promise you, we will continue to market ourselves the way we are right now.
Well, as far as coming from me, the support, it's definitely not going to stop because, as I've told you plenty of times, I'm a huge fan already. And again, I got this paper in front of me. I'm loving it, and it works both ways though, because like I said, you know how I'm going to keep sharing your guys' stuff on here all the time. Anytime I see you share something, I'm going to share it, and I know you do the same.
Right.
I 100% appreciate, and you're 100% right about the whole social media thing. Like a lot of it you do have to do yourself, and it does annoy people, but you know what? I don't care because you can easily unfollow it or block it or whatever and pretend you don't see it, or you could just support it. I mean, it's as easy as clicking a like or clicking a share, clicking a join, and actually checking it out. Because I do feel
Right.
horror fans especially, they will be a fan of this project. I know they'll be a fan of this project. And just seeing the small, like I said, the small things you guys do with the pictures and the videos. Well, actually, I should say they're pretty big things, but just those things right there. If they just check that out, again, like I said, you don't see that from everybody. You don't see that from anybody. And it kind of gives you like it's like a behind the scenes thing, like a little sneak peek. And
Right.
you guys are taking full advantage of it. And you said so far you guys only spent $1,400. That's not bad at all, especially for what you guys have done. From what I've seen, I thought it was a lot more. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know the budget stuff, how that goes, but I find it amazing, and I can't wait for this to really get jump started and get rolling and get out there to the public and everybody to see this. And I really hope one day that we can meet in person. I'm hoping at one of these cons that I go to, and it'd be nice, man. It's awesome. Like I know I told you this before. I go to these horror conventions. I go to one called ScareCon. It's out here in New York.
Right.
And there was another con I went to out in New Jersey, which is called Monster Mania. But both of them I've seen like people selling their movies that they've made. Like these people personally made their movies. And me and my brother, I should say, Henry, we went to ScareCon a couple years ago. And I have the movie downstairs. And the only reason I haven't watched the night we bought it, I think it was like $15. We went halves on it. We were both too high to watch the movie. We kept laughing.
That's awesome.
I'm not even lying about that. I do need to check it out, but I'm just saying, like when people are doing stuff like that, we're all try to support it. Last year, me, my boy Rob, he's like another brother who I'd recorded with yesterday, the Jaw, and Henry. We went to Scare last year, and there was a few other guys there. Like, they were only asking for like $1, $2. They didn't have their movie yet, but they were trying to get something going. And so, we were all walking around. And we gave them a few bucks. It's like, hey, look, if that's your dream, and if you can get it started, that's awesome. Just from a couple of dollars of people helping here and there, it does help. And just the fan support is a huge thing. Like that's the easiest thing somebody can do. Like I said, hit like, hit join, hit share, check it out, watch it, get it some views, share it to your friends, share it to your family, and go from there. Like with this, with my horror research 30, the fan page and the podcast, it's growing slowly but surely. Last I checked, I had like 145 or 46 downloads, and to me, that's big. I only have about 6 episodes. I'm not anybody famous. I'm nobody big. And,
no, absolutely.
To me, that's awesome.
And we actually have one coming up in April. And I don't really have the money. We have Monsterpalooza coming to Pasadena. And huge shout out to Monsterpalooza. I appreciate that people are so into this that they put on these conventions. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great place to bring the fans together, and give us that mutual ground. And I would really love to be a part of that and, to go to these things. And you and I had talked before, when we first started discussing doing the interview and doing the podcast, is about, if we do a red carpet release, that I would like to come out to New York and do a Q&A, before and or after the screening of the movie, right there on stage, and you and I can come together, or at a horror con, or whatever, and that way you and I can come together with the mutual respect that we've built over the last few months, and we'll continue to build over the next few years, hopefully. that you and I can come together and we can do this live Q&A, right there as we get ready to either, get ready to watch or, after we've watched the movie, and, take some audience questions and stuff like this and do a live interview, because the reality of it is, man, is, we're nobody either, man, and we're trying to build a name. We're trying to build a brand, and, you're helping us along that path, and I do, again, I can't give you enough props, man. I do appreciate you having us on.
This is definitely 100%. Me and you, I feel like we can both argue going back and forth when we're talking to each other, inboxing each other on Facebook, thanking each other, opportunities that we're giving each other as far as the interview and just sharing stuff. Because I feel the same way. Definitely a mutual respect for you guys, and I would fucking love that opportunity to do a live Q&A, red carpet, green carpet. I don't care what color the carpet is.
And we can take it back to like that 70s shag carpeting and shit. So that way, by the time everybody gets done leg day.
There you go. And but yeah, like that right there would be awesome. Like I've been to a few, not interviewing anybody. This is before I started my podcast, but again with these cons, I've been to these Q&As and one of these movie screenings at a con actually, and it was awesome because it's like you never think you're gonna get those opportunities to sit and witness that. Now, for me to be the one on the stage where people are asking us questions or asking you questions, however it goes, that is a goal right there that it will be achieved one day. And I think that's just fucking awesome. I just love that you guys, well, you in particular, you shout me out all the time. You're just sharing my stuff, like I said, and it's just...
Hey, mutual respect, brother. Mutual
I love
respect.
It. So thank you for that too, man. And well, shit.
Now that we've sat here and stroked each other off for a minute, you're kind of like, well, now what the fuck?
Funny. Do you guys have like business cards or whatever? Or
you know what, dude? I actually did. A friend of mine gave a shout out to Miss Lisa Sickles. Put together some business cards for us. And I only have about 40, 50 of them. But I'm going to be ordering some more now that I have a concept and a design on the business cards. Yeah, dude, we definitely do have some business cards. They're pretty basic, nothing, dude, everything that we have is cheap and basic. But they're phenomenal. They have our logo. They have, the business name. They've got my name. And I was actually talking to the crew about this. But about actually putting together business cards that have each and every one of us listed on the same business card that are associated with the same product. And I think that way, if somebody wanted to, get a hold of one and or all of us, that they could, that they could actually do that and, really, see what we're about, what we've done, and, where we're going to.
Okay, that right there is awesome. My main question, or the reason why I asked that question, part of the reason why I asked that question is, I wanted to see. Now, I don't know if this is allowed or not. I don't know if the cons would frown upon it, but I'm going to a con in Albany in April, and Robert Englund's going to be there. And
nice.
If you can send me some business cards, I will hand them out at this con.
Fuck yeah, dude! I will send you 1,000 of them, bro.
I'll do it. I mean, I'll hand them out to just, random horror. It's not a horror con, but I know there's going to be horror fans there. So I'll just hand them out as I can. And then I'm going to another, if all goes well, it'll be in like September, October-ish. I'm going to another con, which is Scary Con out here. And that is a complete horror con. So I would hand them out there too, just to, get your guys' name out there even more. Just, giving the people passing by, like, here, check this out. This is going to be awesome.
No, hell yeah. And what I'm hoping that we can actually have a Halloween release for this year. We're gonna try and get this thing done as soon as we possibly can, and hopefully we'll be able to actually get it released this year. If not, we're looking at an early release possibly next year. I mean, that's future casting. I'm trying not to do that as much as possible. But what I'll actually do is, you and I had already talked, and I'm going to send you an autograph poster. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to take, and since you're going to this con in April, whatever else, I will send you a couple extra copies of the poster that you can hand out to whoever you feel. Dude, give one to fucking Robert Englund. I don't care.
Just
if
for
you
saying
feel
that, I'm gonna
out,
now. I'm not gonna promise, but I'm gonna try to get this on video. I'm gonna say, Robert, this is gonna be amazing. This man told me to give you this poster. I'm gonna try to give him one of those posters for you.
right on, dude. That would be fucking awesome. Hell, if anything, man, have him fucking sign it.
Hey, I just might, but I'm gonna give him. Look, this is a gift from me and Sam to you because I had to be the delivery guy, so that's why it's both.
Fuck yeah, brother. That would be awesome, man. I would appreciate that.
But yeah, I'm gonna try that. And the business cards, I will definitely hand them out to as many people as I can. I just feel like this is something that people are gonna want to see and they need to see. And shit, they just look at the business card. Oh, this is how I see it, or whatever. This is how I get this. Yep, now go check it out.
Hell yeah, yeah. Because we have our, I have, okay, it's going to be a little weird, but I have my phone number. I have my, the production company email on it, but I also have our link to our Facebook page, so that way they can, can go to the page and link to it and see what we've got and what we've done so far.
Well, that's smart though. It's a good business move.
Right. We're trying, man. Like I said, we're cheap. We're on a very tight budget. And we're trying to make dreams come true with with passion. And it's our passion that's driving us. So I have a buddy of mine who just finished up a big project with Blumhouse. And I can't really put too much of that out there. But he's going to. He said that once we have something viable, that he would send it to them if he thinks that they would be interested in it. So there's a possibility that maybe Blumhouse would be interested in picking up our film for distribution. And I would be so fucking honored to have a company like that pick us up and and promote us and put us out there and release us.
Somebody's gonna definitely pick you guys up and promote you. I can feel that. I can't wait for it to happen. And I can't wait to hear about it. And I got one more thing I want to ask you about these polls.
Okay.
Now, I hope I'm not asking too much, but is there a way you can? There's a couple people I have in mind right now. My brother Christian, my brother Henry, and my brother Rob. Is there any way you can sign 3 for those 3 too? Because they have helped me a lot with this podcast going. And my cousin Michael. Those 4, they've all been on this before. They're on it continuously when I need them to be. My brother's always producing the episodes for me and stuff, and it's just, if possible.
You know what, bro? Let me tell you this, and I'll give you a shout out to all your brothers, okay? I will absolutely send each and every one of them an autographed poster. Okay, I'll have me and my son sign it, and if they want anybody else to sign it, you can hit me up individually. Whether Facebook Messenger or privately, however you want. But this is what I'm going to ask from them. If they're not already on the page or on our Instagram, to have them go and like the page, share a post, and let me know that that's why they're doing it.
I will, right after this podcast, I will get in contact with each and every single one of them. And here's what I'll do. I'm going to say, listen, I got you guys an awesome poster signed. And as many of the cast members as you can for each of the posters, including mine, if that's cool. As many as you can. If you can only do you and your son or just you, I'm cool with either way. But I'll say, listen, here's how you guys can get this. Like the page, Normal Tear. Like the page, Sacrificial Productions. Share a post. Tag me and Sam in it. Boom. And then that way he'll know.
Done. Absolutely. I mean, you got it, bro. That's a challenge to each and every one of you out there listening to this and everybody else. If you hit us up like that, I promise you, I will get you.
Did you hear that, people? You know what? I'll make a video on this and I'll put this challenge out there. Since people have all these Facebook challenges, this is called the support challenge. Right. The support Sacrificial Productions challenge. And I think we should both do this on our pages. Share it and just say, share this post, share this page, like and join these pages, and boom, we'll see what happens after that.
No, because also another thing that I'm going to be doing with the gel molds and stuff like that we have is that eventually, when once our film goes out and we get distributed and it's premiered, and hopefully win the Academy Award and Grammys and all this other awesome shit that's possible, is I want to take, and I'm going to have our actress of our gel torso, I'm going to have her sign that. And then like the different props that we use, and we're going to auction those off for a good cause. We're going to auction those off for a charity. So if anybody, I have, my ex-wife's, son, it has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is 100% fatal. And the lifespan of the children, it primarily affects boys, but the lifespan of the boys that, have Duchenne muscular dystrophy averages between 6 and 16 years old. That's their average lifespan. And they're making amazing breakthroughs in Duchenne. And I'm going to give a huge shout out to Riley, my little buddy. He's a soulmate of mine. Him and I are very close. We have a very special relationship. But he has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And it's something that I've researched a lot about and I'm very passionate about. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hold a charity event after we make a name for ourselves, and I'm going to auction off some of the stuff from this movie, some of our personal stuff, to support Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Now that right there is amazing. I'm sorry for those circumstances, but a huge, huge shout out to Riley. You're now an official fan, or you now have an official fan from Horror Research 30, and I wish you the best of luck with that. I hope everything goes perfect with that, and I really feel that's a great, great cause that you're doing that too. So I can't wait for that to just grow up and be huge, also, because that's huge right there.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being on this. And I guess we can kind of get to the end of it. We've been going for almost 2 hours, which is amazing. I can go all day.
I see that, man. I was looking at just watching the clock. It's like an hour and 55 minutes and 45 seconds. Do you have any bombs you want to drop before we end this out?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Sorry about that. I asked for a bomb to drop and my phone goes off.
It happens, man. I just, like I said, I really appreciate you being on here. We're definitely going to be recording again, probably shortly, because this was a very fun episode. And I promise you, the next episode is going to be just as fun, if not more fun. And for the people listening, next time, I'll try not to laugh at you guys as much.
Before you get off, I got somebody here who wants to say hi.
Oh, bring him on.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Sammy Mason.
Sammy Mason, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good.
How do you like being in the movie with your father?
It's pretty cool. Just hoping I can make enough money so I can put it towards my future.
That's cool, man. So who's the real star, you or him?
Well, if I was a star, it'd be a whole lot more gruesome.
Oh, man. Well, I'm a fan of yours, Sammy, and I hope you do great and keep going. Just try your best at everything. Listen to your dad. He's a good man.
Indeed.
Indeed. Can I get you to do one thing for me, though, Sammy?
Sure, what is that?
Steve!
He walked off.
I tried.
Hey, no worries, brother. Huge shout out to fucking everybody on my team, and I appreciate you having us out, dude. It's been an amazing experience. As you said, it was it was a very fun show, and I can't wait to have you have us back on there.
Listen, man, you know how you can contact me. So anytime you guys have something going on that you want to be discussed on the podcast, hit me up. We'll make it happen. And again, thanks for being on. I can't wait for you guys to be on again. I can't wait to see this freaking movie. And Rob, Christian, Michael, and Henry, I'm going to make a video right once this podcast is over. This is a call out for you guys to get a poster, a signed poster. So just listen. It's simple. That's all I got to say with that.
Right on, brother. Sounds good, man. Hey, thanks for having us on. And yeah, you and I will talk as soon as this is over, and we'll get this out there.
Sounds good, man. One last thing, just I know you said you plugged them earlier, but all your plugs you have as far as your page, anything, your merchandise page and all that, if you want to plug them right now, you can plug it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on a distribution deal because I have a merchandising business, and I'm trying to run my merchandise through that business, which is weapons of merch production dot rocks. WOMP.ROCKS. However, I haven't quite got that website built yet. I'm still working on getting sacrificialpawnproductions.com. I bought that name. It is our official website, but I'm working on getting it built right now. So that will be launched here soon. We do have merchandise, but I have to do pre-sale orders right now. I'm working on a merchandising deal with a couple of different companies right now to try and get us the best deal. So that way, the cost doesn't go up too much. Because unfortunately, it is a business. It is, there is a reason for us doing this. And it's going towards our budget and our special effects and all these other things that we're doing. Because like I said, we do have a very tiny budget right now. Everything's coming out of my pocket, and a few donations that we have had. We do have a GoFundMe page. We have an Instagram page. So yeah, go to www.facebook.com/new style gore films, and you can go scroll down through there, and I know there's a lot of posts on there, but when you're doing your own public relations and marketing, you kind of have to do that. But yeah, definitely go and check out our page. Go and check out our Instagram. You can either look it up by Sam I Am Mason, or you can look it up by normal_terror_the movie. Or you can go to fucking Google, dude. We're on Google now, so you can go to Google and check us out. But yeah, we got a merchandise line coming. Blah, 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 blah. Figures right at the end. I'm getting fucking tongue tied. But yeah, we got a merchandise line coming. If you guys want posters, we're selling. If you want a plain poster, no autographs on them, we're selling them for $20 a piece. If you want the autographs on them, we're only adding another $5, and we will ship them anywhere in the world. So if you're interested, you want a poster, you want anything else, I currently have approximately 15 posters for sale. So if anybody is interested and wants some posters, hit me up. If you want any merchandise, hit me up. Hit Sir Sturdy up. And again, huge shout out to our family, our Normal Terror family. It's going to be an amazing experience, and I really do appreciate you guys having us on. Once again, you're an amazing guy, Aaron. Best of luck to you and your wife, your podcast, and we're going to keep supporting you guys as much as you're supporting us. We love you to death, and thanks for having us on.
You're very welcome, man. Like I said, you and your crew, 100% welcome on anytime. Just hit me up and let me know. And to everybody else, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting this podcast. Thanks for supporting what Sam does. Definitely mutual respect. There's definitely going to be a lot of things going on between us later on in the near future and all that good stuff. And I guess we can end it here, man. So again, thank you for being on. I can't wait to have you on again.
Rock on, horror with Sir Sturdy.
And you know how I ended, everybody. So I'll see you in your nightmares.